Hello again, everybody. Thought I'd start tonight's episode by showing the tender, which I actually built this thing, say, probably right at 10 years ago. I think it was 2009. It took me a period of about 2 years of hobby time, which in my way of speaking means an hour or two every night when I could afford it, to come out and just tinker on it a little bit. But I'm real proud of how it is constructed, how it came out. I wish I would have had the YouTube channel up and dialed in when I was building this thing, because the sides are all made out of steel, the top is made out of steel. This railing that you see, the half round, that's actually brass, half round brass that I cut from solid brass rod and soldered it. All of these rivets here are actual real rivets, that steel rivets that I used a rivet squeezing tool to place. There must be 1,000 or 1,200 rivets in there, and these are all real. They go, this is where the baffles and bulkheads are inside the tender. So, and you can see the support beams run across here where these stainless steel button head screws are. So it's very sturdy. I've actually had this out to the track. I took it out to Wales West after I finished it, and I tested the brake system, which I'll show in a second. I installed vacuum brakes, and they're originally made by Mountain Car Company, and I think that company's changed hands. It's Cannonball or something else now, but hopefully you can still get the brake assemblies. They're pretty cool. They're vacuum operated, and they use vacuum little vacuum devices like you would find in an automobile to open and close the air conditioner and heater door. The ladder there is freelance, and the 1355, there's a Frisco locomotive here in Pensacola, Florida that has that designation, so kind of a tribute to that locomotive, I just painted the 1355 on this one. I added a drain here, the ball, you can see that, so nice low point drain for keeping the water out. You can see the piping, see the the copper line there, some of the piping to the brake cylinders. I don't know if you can make that out or not, but right where I'm shining the light, that's the brake, vacuum brakes. And I had to modify this a little bit. I had to silver solder these lugs on right where the spotlight is shining as a pivot point for the brake arm, but it was pretty easy to figure out. And here's the little brakes themselves. I've tested this out on the track over at Wales West, and just letting it coast, and then I used a little automobile type vacuum, like a brake tester, to create vacuum, and the vacuum brakes work. So I'm pretty excited about how that works, and can't wait to get it out and try to test it. This is where the connection for the ejector will go, that I keep talking about on the locomotive. So the vacuum will go there, and I'll take it through that pipe that I showed you and activate those brake cylinders. There's if you can see the one on the rear truck there, you can get a nice shot of the bolsters and the underneath of the frame of the tender. So it's ready to go. I'm excited to get it back out there. I was just pulling out, these are little custom made footrests I designed and installed. You can see the little set screw there, and I just cut a channel in some square steel tube, and I've got some round stock that's bolted in, and so you can slide the foot pegs, slide in and out, and it's pretty comfortable sitting on top of that thing. So pretty stoked about that. So the next test I think that we'll do will include, I've got to go through this thing again, make sure it's all up to snuff. I have two these brake handles are actually, they activate water valves. So the right one will be for the injector, and this one is the bypass valve for the axle pump. So I'm thinking the next test that we do, hopefully I'll have the tender all hooked up, so we'll be testing the tender related systems and the locomotive systems all at once. Speaking of the locomotive, I just ran some more air through it, and there's still a little bit of residual moisture in there. I'm glad I ran the air through it again tonight. I'll just keep doing that until I need to make a warm air blower so that we get all the water out of there. I certainly don't want any rust in there, so it's nice to be able to run it back and forth. And every time the wheels go around, it activates the oil pump, so I'm putting steam cylinder oil into the cylinders, and they're cast iron cylinders with cast iron rings on brass pistons, so I want to definitely make sure there's lubrication in there. So that's tonight's wrap on the locomotive. I'll be doing a little bit more work on the shaper. If you're following that project, probably put that on hold. There's my little stash of aluminum blocks that I'd saved. As you can see, it's dwindling down. I have maybe enough to make 2 more of the bigger parts, and then I'll be absolutely done with that for now until I get the sides and all. But very excited about the locomotive and the opportunity to get it running, and especially have it running with the tender attached and all systems operational. Thanks again for watching, everybody. I'll keep you posted.